పెట్టింది అంత కనపడుతుంది. ఇలా పెట్టాలా? రెండు ఇదేంటి? ఇది పైన ఇదిరా ఇది.
Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello. Good morning, sir. Brahmangaru.
నమస్తే నమస్తే.
Welcome to St. Teresa's College, Eluru. Today's topic: how to protect our consumer rights. Good morning to one and all. Today we have all gathered to listen to Sri S. Brahmangaru, the leading advocate in Eluru. He enlightens us about the consumer rights and duties and the other related aspects. Anything moves on only when God accepts it. Let us move on with a prayer. I request Miss Bindu and Spandana to lead us into prayer.
All to Jesus I surrender, all to Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him, in His presence daily live. I surrender all, I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all to Jesus I surrender, humbly at His feet I bow, worldly pleasure all forsaken, take me Jesus, take me now. I surrender all, I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all. Bible reading. A reading taken from the book of Psalms chapter 103 verse 1 and 2. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Let us do our daily prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you, Bindu and Spandana. As a part of consumer care activities, our Department of Commerce has planned this present moderating many activities for the benefit of our students. Hearty welcome to Sri S. Brahmam Garu, the today's resource person. Welcome, sir. I would like to welcome
Thank you.
our superior and correspondent, Dr. Sister Maria Pudota. Hearty welcome, sister. I deem it a privilege to welcome our principal, Dr. Sister Marietta Di Mello. Hearty welcome, sister. I feel immense pleasure in welcoming our Vice Principal and PG Directress, Dr. Sister Shaurilu. A warm welcome to you, sister. I welcome all the heads of various departments, faculty, and students. Regarding our debatable topic, wants are unlimited, but means are scarce. A famous saying. To satisfy our needs, we need to use goods and services. A person who purchases goods and services for his personal use is consumer. Consumer satisfies his needs by paying for goods and services. If she or he, as a consumer, is happy with the quality of goods and working of the goods and services, there will not be any problem. But sometimes we face the problems with goods and services. We take it to the notice of goods suppliers and service providers for rectification or replacement. If they do not respond properly in time, what we have to do is our present topic today. To discuss this, to analyze from different angles and to enlighten us the consumer rights and duties, we have a resourceful person as our resource person, Sri S. Brahmangaru, one of the leading advocates in Eluru. He is legal advisor to many institutions. He has been providing his valuable services in and around Eluru, and from farther places also he has clients. He is an excellent administrator great communicator, inspiring motivator, and an ideal teacher too. He appears to be normal, but his subject knowledge admirable. Soft spoken, but in court pinpointed in presenting the case facts and very sensible in cross examination. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being with us today at this moment for the benefit of our students. Sir, I request you to commence the session. Sir, please.
Respected principal and vice principal and staff, and along with the head of the departments, namaste to one and all.
Good morning, sir.
And dear Channarulu, Chiranjeevaluku, blessings. Now, I was requested by Sri Sharmagaru, head of the department commerce, to deliver the seminar so far as the subject is concerned, how to protect our consumer rights. A very thankful to him and principal, respected principals, vice principal, and the staff. Now, I am very happy and delighted to submit few points relating to the Consumer Protection Act, because in the society we have to meet number of needs and necessaries to satisfy our wants and to satisfy our necessaries as a human being. Under those count, we have to purchase number of commodities, number of goods, and a number of products from the market. In such a circumstances, in purchasing the goods, we have to select some goods and products and materials and all these things from the market at satisfaction and are in quality and good service. In such a circumstances, we have to go market and purchase the goods and products and materials and whatnot. Now, in case of purchasing the goods, we have to verify price, service, defect, and all these things. In such a circumstances, in verifying the goods to be purchased from the market or from the seller, we have to very intellectual to talk with him and to converse with him and to move with him, because what is the needy and what is the necessity to satisfy your needs and what is this product to be purchased from him and it has to be each and everything relating to your move to him and say something with regard to the goods purchased from him. And the important point to be in memory from your mind is, after purchasing, before going to purchase, after bargain, and after purchasing the same, and after paying the amount, you have to check each and everything. And very, very important point to be considered in this occasion is to obtain a receipt from him. Very, very important. A receipt to the amount paid already by you for the purchasing of the goods. You have to receive the same from him. And it is very, very important because it is the evidentiary value so far as the legal principles are concerned. Without obtaining a receipt, you did not satisfy after purchasing the same, because a number of points to be considered under the Consumer Protection Act. This is the Consumer Protection Act in the year 1986 was enacted in the initial stage, and now the latest Consumer Protection Act was enacted by the Parliament on 9/8/2019, 9/8/2019, and it came into effect on 20th July 2020. This is the latest Consumer Protection Act 2019. This act, that is latest Consumer Protection Act, covers not only within the ambit of physical platform for buyer and seller relationship, but also recognizes some services provided by the e-commerce platform also. Before going to discuss about the Consumer Protection Act, we have to learn and know a contract. What is contract? Contract means an agreement, but every agreement is not a contract, because there are two types of agreements. The first one is social agreement, and the second one is agreement enforceable by law. The agreement which is enforceable by law becomes a contract. The social agreement is not at all enforceable, because the very primary point to be considered in case of enforceability of the agreement as per principles of law is consideration. Consideration means something in return, Without consideration, any agreement is a social agreement. With consideration, any agreement is a agreement enforceable by law. It becomes a contract which is enforceable. Now, the very purpose of Consumer Protection Act is a platform, physical platform, that is the ambit of physical platform for the buyer and seller. Here, in between buyer and seller, there is a proposal and acceptance, and the consideration being paying consideration and purchasing the goods, and after receiving the goods, very, very important point already we have already stated before you is obtaining receipt from the seller. Here, the contract in between buyer and seller is there. That is the contract is, there is a clear relationship between buyer and seller, and it also recognizes and services provided by the e-commerce platforms also. We will discuss later. Now, the Consumer Protection Act is a legislation enacted by in India with the sole purpose of protecting and safeguarding the interest of the consumers. Only for the purpose of safeguarding the interest of the consumers and protecting of the rights of the consumers. This is the Consumer Protection Act. It is a legislation enacted by our parliament in India, and it is very useful for the consumers. The act was passed for the protection of the consumers, for an effective administration, and also settle the disputes of the consumers also. Now, every consumer will protect his right by way of taking assistance from the Consumer Protection Act. A number of principles are there, a number of guidelines are there, and a number of sections are there, and how to move with the seller and how to move with the market, and all these things will be discussed in the Consumer Protection Act. Now, a purchaser is a consumer. Every purchaser is a consumer. Who is a consumer?
A person who purchases goods and services, sir, for a personal use.
The goods.
A person who uses the goods.
Oh, yes, no doubt. A person who buys the goods for consideration, that is important. A person who buys the goods and who purchases the goods for consideration, and the consideration will be paid to seller, and he may also be a vendor. Either the consideration may be partly paid or promised to pay partly, includes user of such goods also. Therefore, a person who buys the goods, a person who purchases the goods only for consideration, and the consideration must be paid. And obtaining receipt, very, very important. It is the evidentiary value. The evidentiary value to be put before the forum or any court of law, that is the only documentary proof to show that you purchase the goods and you purchase the some product. Without that document, a oral agreement and oral words will not be believed by the court of law or any forum. Therefore, there must be some evidentiary value to put before the any forum and court of law to prove you that you purchased these some goods on consideration and on such and such a date, so far as the transaction is concerned. Therefore, a person who buys the goods and who purchases the goods for consideration, either it may partly or promise to pay, includes also user of such goods. Now, a person who obtains such goods for sale or any commercial purpose becomes question mark, becomes a consumer or not. A person who obtains such goods for resale or for any commercial purpose, whether he becomes a consumer or not. Because a person who purchases the goods for resale purpose or any commercial purpose is not a consumer. He cannot claim any right against the seller in such a circumstances. Therefore, a person who obtains goods by way of purchasing the same for his own purpose and to utilize it for him only or his family members or her family members, that is only the point to be considered to attract the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. Now, any person who purchases goods or products or some material or anything from the market for a resale is not a consumer. If a person purchases some goods for commercial purpose, he is not a consumer. But there is a point to be considered here. A person who hires some services or availing of some services for consideration to be paid to a person hired or any beneficiary of such services is a consumer. Therefore, here purchasing the goods for consideration and hiring the goods or hiring the services for consideration or for the beneficiary of such services will come under the purview of this Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, there must be some consideration. Now, another point to be considered here is free service is rendered and free of cost some goods are gifted. Then whether they come under the purview of the Consumer Protection Act or not. They are not, they cannot come under the purview of
Consumer
Protection Act because the services rendered by a particular person at free of cost does not attract the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, the another point is a person who renders services for commercial purpose is not also a consumer. Under those circumstances, whether the Consumer Protection Act will be applicable or not, that is to be decided over by the facts and circumstances, and transaction between the persons will decide over whether the commercial purpose or not, whether the free of cost goods are received or such services are received or to be decided over. And it is to be adjudicated on the basis of the only consideration. That is very, very important. No consideration, no contract. It is to be discussed and it will be elaborated in Contracts Act to the students of BCom. Now, who avails some services for commercial purpose is not also a consumer. A number of examples are there because we are going to, we users to go to market or any shop to purchase some commodity or some product or some good to our satisfaction on consideration. Whatever a soap is purchased by me and paid something, that is the price, price, not cost, price paid to the shopkeeper. I received the soap and obtained a receipt. Either any defect is there or any some what is the soap is not required and some defect is there, then I can claim only on the basis of the receipt passed by him, because without receipt it is not possible for me, whether it is purchased from the shopkeeper or not. It is to be burden on me to prove that I purchased this soap from the shopkeeper. And the same soap is purchased for commercial purpose and I am not a consumer. How it is to be proved? I purchased the soap and obtained receipt. I have to mention each and everything to the third person, that is forum, to prove my case that I purchased the same soap for my purpose, not commercial purpose. If I am unable to prove that the soap is purchased for own purpose and utilization of my own, then it is to be proved. Otherwise, it does not prove, and I may fail before the forum in case of obtaining the relief sought. Therefore, in commercial purpose, there is no question of Consumer Protection Act will be applicable. And what is the commercial purpose? For the purpose of obtaining some benefit or some profit. If the goods are utilized by me, it is a commercial purpose. If it is utilized, the same commodity purchased by me is utilized only for the purpose of my own or my family members, it is a purpose under the protection of the Consumer Protection Act. And now the another example to analyze and to enlighten the what is commercial purpose. Suppose I purchased a Xerox machine for the purpose of self-employment. I purchased a Xerox machine for self-employment. Whether it comes under the purview of Protection Act or not. Because I am utilizing the Xerox machine for my self-employment, earning something by way of utilizing the Xerox machine. For my livelihood, it is being used. I am rendering services with the assistance of the Xerox machine and obtaining some consideration from the persons who come to me for their purpose. Therefore, if a Xerox machine is purchased by my livelihood, it is not covered by Consumer Protection Act. It is self-employment. Therefore, it does not include the commercial purpose. Therefore, it is to be not covered by. But there is a decision and a ruling given by Supreme Court that commercial purpose does not include self-employment, that is earning for his livelihood. And if any person purchases goods, online purchases, buying goods on the basis of online purchases and online transactions through some electronic means, telescoping and directing selling, multi-level marketing, these are all the goods covered by provisions of Consumer Protection Act. Now, who is a person to be complained for his grievance? He is a complaint. Who makes some complaint against his grievance is a complainant. He may be a consumer or an association registered as a consumer association and a group of consumers having common interest. These are all the complainants. Any consumer is a complainant, or any association registered under the Societies Act as consumer associations. A group of consumers having common interest file a complaint also. And the other point it is necessary to discuss and enlighten to you is legal heirs in case of death of a consumer are also come under the purview of this Consumer Protection Act. If any complaint is filed by a particular complainant, while the complaint is pending before the forum, he dies, then the legal representatives will come to the shoes of the deceased complainant and they will prosecute the same case and obtain relief from the forum. Therefore, legal heirs also consumers. Who is a complainant? A consumer.
The family
A consumer association. A group of persons having common interest, including also legal heirs of a deceased consumer. Now, what is complaint? These are all the important points to be discussed. Then, what are the rights of a consumer to be protected? Now, who is a complainant? A person who alleges in writing to obtain any relief for the defects of a goods purchased by him or deficiency of the services rendered to him or some excess price is charged by person who renders services or persons who sells the goods. It is an allegation in writing to obtain some relief and it is to be filed before the district forum. Now, what is the district forum? It is only the forum established by the government, like that of courts, deal with the consumer disputes. Only the district forum is only the forum. Only one forum is established by the government in a district only. If you complain, if any consumer or complainant filed a complaint before the district forum to get some relief for his grievance, he has to be prosecuted in the same case in the district forum. And now there is a pecuniary jurisdiction is there. What is the pecuniary jurisdiction for the consumer forum? Pecuniary jurisdiction means the value is limited to deal with the cases to be covered covered by allegations made by way of complainant is up to 1 crore. The value of the claim is up to 1 crore only or less than 1 crore only. The district forum will entertain the cases, that is consumer disputes only. Therefore, if any case is filed by a consumer in the district forum or district consumers redressal forum, the value of the claim is up to 1 crore only. If value of the claim is more than 1 crore and less than 10 crores, the State Consumer Redressal Forum will, the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act will be applicable to the State Consumer Redressal Forum, and the State Consumers Redressal Forum will entertain the cases for the value of the claim is up to 10 crores. If exceeds the value of the claim exceeds 10 crores and unlimited, the National Commission, that is National Consumer Redressal Commission, will entertain the cases relating to the claim if the value of claim is more than 10 crores. It is unlimited. Therefore, that is the pecuniary jurisdiction for the consumer cases to be entertained in the district forum, that is called District Consumer Redressal Forum and State Consumer Redressal Forum, National Consumers Redressal Forum, as the case may be. Therefore, if our grievance is limited to only 1 crore only, then only the value of the claim is up to 1 crore only, then the pecuniary jurisdiction of the Consumer Redressal Forum, that is only District Consumer Forum within the purview of this district only, it will be covered. Now, the complaint consists of some allegations against these products purchased by him or goods purchased by him by way of allegations in writing, and he has to obtain some relief from the district forum or state forum or any national forum for the defects of some goods and the deficiency of the service, and the excess price is charged by the vendor or seller. That is there must be some allegations, and being a complainant, he has to prove all his allegations and seek for the purpose of seeking some relief for the goods purchased by him or some services rendered, deficiency of the services rendered by him. Now, what is the consumer dispute? A dispute by a consumer about the defects of the goods or deficiency of the service. That is the dispute. Only. What is the dispute of the consumer? It must be some defects of the goods. It must be related to some defects of the goods or some deficiency of the service. That is the dispute only for the consumer, and it has to be put before the or any forum, which I already discussed prior. And for the purpose of proving that the deficiency or defect of the goods, we have to file some complaint in writing and some seeking relief, and we have to pay some court fees as fixed by the court of law under the provisions of Stamp Act. Now, what is the defect? What is the defect of a goods purchased by us? Any fault is a defect. Any imperfection is a defect. Any shortcoming in the quality is a defect. Any quantity is a defect. Any potency is a defect. So far as the purity is concerned, impurity is a defect. Standards of goods required to be maintained by law is also a defect. So therefore, any fault or imperfection or shortcoming in the quality or quantity or potency or purity or standards of goods required to be maintained by law, these are all the defects. In case of defect only, we have to raise our voice by way of making some allegations and put in writing and before the court of law for the purpose of seeking some relief. What is the relief? It may be some claiming some another type of goods, same type of goods, and some compensation by in terms of money, or some cost, or some amount of pecuniary compensation for the mental agony and some defect, some sustenance of the some loss, if it is used in intact, and all these things put before the forum by way of allegations or by way of some averments in the complaint. Therefore, we have to be put before the court all these defects and deficiency of the service relating to the goods and services are concerned under the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act. Now, what is the deficiency? What is the deficiency? Any fault, any imperfection, or shortcoming, or inadequacy of the quality, nature and manner of the performance required, and the nature and manner of performance maintained by law, these are all the deficiency of the service. In case of defect and deficiency of the service, one of the are so far as defect and deficiency are concerned, compare with that of these two, defect and deficiency, they are all one and the same. But here it is to be explained and narrated and to be conscious by the facts and circumstances of case itself. Now, what is deficiency in service? What is the deficiency in service? Any act of negligence or omission or commission by a person who causes loss or injury to the consumer. If any person renders services on consideration to us engaged by us, then in case of negligent service is rendered or omission is complained and commission by a person who causes some loss or some making some injury to the consumer, then it is also a deficiency of the service, and we can claim something for the deficiency of the services rendered by him from him. And in case of rendering services, we have to expect a good quality of the service. If any person renders good quality of service, there is no problem at all. The problem is only act of negligence and omission. And here, a deficiency of the service also to be witnessed by way of any service sector. There is a buyer and seller relationship is there. In case of deficiency of the services, we have to know some departments. Railways are there, banks, electricity, construction companies, and educational institutions, transportation companies, aviation companies, hospitals, restaurants, entertainment clubs, postal departments, RTC departments. These are all the departments and companies comes under the purview of deficiency of the service. Each one we have to say some example. Suppose a railway, so far as the railway is concerned, we reserved a ticket to leaving for Hyderabad. Then a berth is allotted, but it is not convenient to for convenient for journey, then on proving the same, the services provided by the railway departments is not satisfied with the service, then we have to claim something by way of filing complaint before the district forum on the basis of the inconvenience felt and mental agony and the purpose of journey, the purpose of the journey undertook by us. And banks, a check is there. If we have given check for collection and it is to be collected from the bank within 3 or 4 days, but a lot of delay is there, then in case of proving the delay, and we have to claim something from the bank also. And likewise electricity, yes, service connection is applied for our premises and the amount is paid as fixed by the department, electricity department, then it is to be either this way or that way. It has to be decided over by the department, keeping pendency for years, for months together without deciding over. Then it comes under the purview of, because you paid something for the purpose of sanctioning the service connection. Therefore, it is also comes under the purview of deficiency of the service. So far as the constructions are concerned, a engineer is engaged by you for the purpose of construction of a building. If he renders services a good quality of service, there is no problem at all. He has not finished within the time fixed or time bound, there is a deficiency of the service, then we can move against him for the purpose of delay and claim something by way of some compensation. And likewise education institutions also, there is a well settled case law to be discussed at a later particular stage. And transportations, railway is a transportation, and aviation, flight journey in airbuses, it is also railway example. And hospitals, here a medical association in India filed before the Honorable Supreme Court stating that we are rendering services, but we does not come under the purview of the provisions under the Consumer Protection Act. But here the Honorable Supreme Court held that if the service provided by a doctor or medical practitioner, in case of deficiency, then it comes under the purview of deficiency of the service, and the provisions of Consumer Protection Act will be applicable. Therefore, to that extent, you are come under the purview of deficiency of the service, and the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act will be applicable. And restaurants, for the purpose of creation or recreation or for the purpose of necessary or in case of needs, we go to restaurants to have something, a coffee or tea or some tiffin or whatever it may be. Paying something in by way of consideration and supplying some edibles. Under those circumstances, if it is not so far as a taste and so far as a delicious and all these things concerned, if it is not satisfied by you, then we can claim against a restaurant owner or the management. And likewise, entertainments and also postal and RTC department, these are all the commands come under the purview of the deficiency of the service under Protection Act. Now, we have already discussed that in the Honorable Supreme Court in in the case of Indian Medical Association versus VP Shant, the Honorable High Court held that, the Honorable Supreme Court held that the medical profession is including in the provisions of deficiency of the service, that is Consumer Protection Act, and they come under the medical, in case of service rendered by medical practitioner or doctor is under negligent manner, then within the scope of it is the negligence by way of service within the scope of Consumer Protection Act. Now, the present burning situations are buying and selling of goods and obtaining and rendering services, including digital products over digital and electronic network, that is e-commerce. Now, we are ordering number of commodities and goods by way of online. Then it is the e-commerce, it comes under the purview of e-commerce, and e-commerce rules are, and e-commerce entities are mandatorily required to dispense or to distribute some information such as refund of policy, warranty, exchange rules, payment of options, and tracking information, and shipping details. These are all the rules. Now, the e-commerce entities are mandatorily, and it is to be distributed the information to one and all in the society. That is, if any deficiency is found, or in case of rendering services is come under the provisions of Consumer Protection Act, then a refund of amount to be sanctioned by the person who sold the goods, and he has to give immediate payment to the person who purchased the goods, and he has to exhibit by way of some advertisements in the form of some pamphlets or some tracking information or some footprinting information and all these things. If we are not satisfied with the goods purchased from them, basing on the e-commerce entities, then we can claim whatever the form or whatever the everything is covered by some entities, that is e-commerce entities, which are mandatory to dispense with the dispute, such as some refund of policy or some exchanging of goods and some payment options and all these things. If goods and products sold are not up to mark, then we can claim something under the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. If the quality is as portrayed, then the seller are liable to take them back or exchange them accordingly. Therefore, if the goods are purchased or products are purchased by us are not up to the mark and quality is portrayed, then the sellers are liable to take them back and give a good quality of product and whatever the product we have already ordered, or some exchanging of goods for the worth of already goods purchased. Therefore, the e-commerce rules are framed in case of e-commerce, and so far as buying and selling of goods and servicing of including some digital products, and by way of electronic network. Those are the platforms are mandated and to answer any query or some complaint filed by a consumer within 48 hours. There is a time stipulation or time bound is there to such platforms, and it is to be whatever the grievance put before the person that by way of e-commerce, then it is the platforms are mandated to answer each and every query and complaint made by a consumer within 48 hours. And the e-platform, such platforms shall provide some proper redressal also to each consumer by way of his complaint, and within a period of 1 month from the date of receipt of this complaint, and it is to be decided over. And if the platform doesn't come and it has not answered, then we have got a right to file the complaint before the district forum for the reliefs sought by us. Now, whether the goods includes some food or not. Here, food also is a one kind of goods, and every kind of immovable property is a goods, and in the goods, the food also includes in the goods. Now we are ordering some food items from the restaurant or from Zomato. Yes, am I correct? Yes,
Zomato.
Zomato. From the Zomato, we are ordering some food. If the food provided on consideration and is not effective, and it is not satisfied, and it is not delicious, and it is not tasted, yes, on the basis of our expectations, then we have to claim against the such a type of deficiency of the services against. And we are the so far as the products are concerned, milk, packets are being purchased by us. If the milk packets are purchased by us is are not satisfied with our that is if the spoiled, then the milk products are come under the purview of this Consumer Protection Act. Now, a number of examples we can share so far as the provisions of so far as this provisions of deficiency service of this under protection of Consumer Protection Act. We are expecting goods of good quality, then the provisions of Consumer Protection Act will not apply. If any poor quality or inferior quality are misleading the public faith by way of fake components and fake ingredients and the misrepresentation of services, claiming of goods and products to be brand new, fake advertisements, selling goods not complying with the safety, and substandard materials. These are all the best examples for unfair trade practices. What is trade practice and what is untrade practices? Unfair trade practice is a trade practice is canvassed and advertised by unfair and when it is order promote to service or sale of such goods and supply of some distribution of some products, and an entity uses illicit and illegal means and to mislead the general public into the opting for ingenuine and deceptive, that means deceiving, cheating and misleading the public for the purpose of developing their business. Only whatever the practice may be by traders, then they are all come under the unfair trade practices. These are all the best examples. Misrepresentation of services and goods to be sold, stating that these are all the best goods. Misrepresenting the services and misleading the public with fake components, and these are all the best examples for unfair trade practices. Now, what is the necessity of utilizing the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act? A saying is there, a proverb is there: where there is a hair, there is a style. Where there is a hair, there is a style. What is hair and what is style? Now, how it is applicable? All the provisions which are already discussed by us are known to us, and we are within the knowledge, we have enlightened all these provisions. Then if you know each and every provision under the Consumer Protection Act, then there is a possibility of saying something to the other person who doesn't know, or there is a possibility to raise our voice for the purpose of defective service or some defective goods supplied to us on the basis of some consultation. Therefore, there is necessity to know each and every provision, at least necessary provisions under the Consumer Protection Act. Now we have to meet some needs and wants by using or utilizing the goods and products after purchasing the same from seller from the market. The buyer is a consumer, and being a consumer, we want to buy some goods at good quality or up to mark to meet our needs and necessities. If there is any defect or any deficiency of the service come across by the consumer, then the consumer has got every right to return the goods or to take back the amount in case of already paid, or claiming damages for his mental agony for the purpose is not served to him. Therefore, we have to know the provisions of Consumer Protection Act for the purpose of saving ourselves or for the purpose of getting benefit from the provisions under the Consumer Protection Act. Now, what are the remedies available to the aggrieved person, that is aggrieved consumer? What are the remedies available to him? He has to, first of all, after obtaining the receipt from the seller and after obtaining the some documentary proof relating to purchasing of such goods, he has to approach grievance redressal, that is grievance redressal mechanism. We have already discussed. Some rules are provided by e-commerce rules. In such a situation, we have to approach grievance redressal mechanism and to provide or to make some allegations by way of complaint before initiation of any legal action against the service provider. We approach the grievance cell and say something with regard to the grievance and deficiency of the service, or some goods purchased by you are defective in nature. Then there is no response from the grievance redressal cell, then you have to issue a legal notice to the person or to the seller who sells the goods or who renders the services. If the legal notice, sending the legal notice is not a mandatory, but we have to consider one point here. If any legal notice is sent, then stating all the facts relating to the goods deficiency or some defective goods, then there is a possibility to know the defense taken by the other side to us by way of giving reply by him. Once again, if your grievance is put before the redress by way of legal notice, then he replies, no, your allegations are all false and not correct. This is my defense. There is a possibility to know each and everything relating to the defense taken by the other side. If he doesn't give any reply, then silence is acceptance. Therefore, issuance of a legal notice is very helpful to the person who sustains some loss by way of some grievance under the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. Now, the first point is approaching the grievance. The second point is giving a legal notice. If any reply is not given, then it is a benefit for the, and it is for the purpose of pleadings by the person who aggrieved, it is very useful for him. And the third point is filing a consumer complaint before the appropriate forum in way of pecuniary jurisdiction. Generally, when the value of the claim is up to 1 crore, then a district forum will be, the complaint will be entertained by the district forum. And a very, very important point we have to be discussed here is your grievance must be by way of complaint will be filed within the period of 2 years. If your grievance is filed by way of complainant before the consumer forum is beyond 2 hours, 2 years, the complaint is not maintainable because a period of limitation is there. Therefore, whatever the grievance by the consumer by way of complaint before the district forum, it is to be within the period of 2 years. Therefore, it is not to be barred by limitation. It is not to be barred by limitation, that is 2 years. And we have to look after the another point is whether the complaint filed by the consumer is considered by the district forum is within the 21 days or not. If the complaint filed by the complainant, that is consumer, is not admissible within the period of 21 days, we have to look after why it is not considered and why it is not admissible, why it is not taken into consideration, and some complaints are there. Therefore, we have to comply all these objections made by the district forum. And the district forum on considering the complaint will be given number, and the mediation proceedings also to be done by the district forum. We have to cooperate with the district forum and settle the dispute. In that count also, it is not possible to settle the dispute before the consumer forum. Then you have to raise your voice by way of pleadings and submit the same. Then a compensation and damages and costs will be awarded by the, if you are prove your grievance before the district forum, automatically the award will be passed by the district forum, and cost will be awarded, and compensation is also to be awarded by the district forum by way of award. Therefore, what are the remedies? You have to approach the grievance cell, and issuance of the notice is there, the second point, and consumer complaint before the appropriate forum you have to be filed, and that complaint must be filed before the forum within 2 years. What is the grievance? You have to prove by way of documentary proof, and you have to make some allegations in writing, and consecutive points to be considered by the district forum by way of presentation. There is no forum, there is no appropriate manner to submit all the facts by way of complaint, but there must be some chronological order you have to submit before the district forum relating to your claim. A national commission, our national commission held one case, an important case, a recent case is one person purchased a flat from the builder by paying entire amount as fixed by him, and the purchaser of the flat required some interior decoration as explained by him, and for which course the builder also accepted and received the amount fixed by him. Then the builder fails to perform his part performance of the contract, as it is not satisfied with the purchaser of the flat. Then the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, held that the purchaser of flat has got every right to recover the entire amount paid already for the dreams, that is for the satisfaction of interior decoration. In case of builder fails to perform his duty and part performance of his contract, then it is the builder has not satisfied with the purchaser. Therefore, the builder is directed to pay some amount, that is the decoration, for the purpose of decoration, interior decoration, what is the amount paid, and cost also awarded to the purchaser of flat. Therefore, under all those circumstances, we have to consider first of all what is the deficiency of the service and what is the defects of the service goods, and whether the provisions of Consumer Protection Act will be applicable or not, and the very exceptions of this Consumer Protection Act is if any goods are obtained free of cost, and if any goods are purchased for commercial purpose, and if any goods are purchased for resale, and if any person received some goods by way of gift, these are all these are all not covered under the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. Therefore, the important points are considered by the consumer are, first of all, we have to receive receipt after paying the consideration after purchasing the goods, and if any literature relating to the goods purchased by him is required, then he has to be received the literature also relating to the goods purchased by him. And if any information to be required to use the product purchased by this consumer, then he has to be sought such information, and all these things he has to preserve. And on the basis of the instructions given in the literature provided by the seller, we have to handle the same, or some assistance from the technical expert, the assistance from this technical expert also to be taken, and all the precautions to be taken for the purpose of utilizing the same. Then also the defect is found and the service provider is not satisfied, then we have to raise our voice by way of some complaint before the district forum, and before that we have to issue some notice to the person who provides the goods on consultation. And these are all the considerable points to be bear in mind, and all these things we have to be looked after, and the provisions, whether the provisions of Consumer Protection Act are applicable or not, to be discussed and to be known. And if any complaint to be made by the person who aggrieved is an alert by way of following the points, and he has to make something before he has to approach the, first of all, to extract some more material for the purpose of his case, and all these things to be considered. And the consumer must be alert to know each and everything relating to the goods required by him, and what are the goods purchased by him, and what are the goods already previously purchased, and what are the goods to be satisfied with his needs, and all these things put in your mind and bear in mind. And the Consumer Protection Act will be applicable only to the person who purchased the goods and who obtained the services to be services obtained by him. Therefore, these are all the points to be considered by consumer. And nowadays we have to learn each and everything on the basis of the legal principles. Without knowing the legal principles, we have to fail in our life also. Therefore, it is a privilege given by the institution through Sri Sarmagaru to discuss something and share something, and I enlighten myself for the purpose of this seminar, and I am very happy to share with the points with you, and I once again thankful to all concerned, principal, respected principal and vice principal, and respected teachers, and in particular Mr. Sarmagaru, and our dear students, Chinnarulu, Charanjivulu, all blessings. The respected teachers will be respected by some regards from me, and they are all respected because entire society will be depend on the basis of the teachings and instructions given by the teachers, and they are the builders of the society, and they are the important profession is the teaching, and each and everything known from the teachers, then you will become the greatest persons in the society. And I am very thankful to one and all. And once again, I thankful to each and everyone. And thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation and analysis of various aspects relating to consumer rights and duties. Now, this is a question and answer session.
Okay.
We welcome the queries from the participants. If you have any question, you can please raise your question.
Sir,
Yes.
when consumer disputes occurs, there is any codes for consumers, sir? Special codes.
Pardon, Amma?
Sir,
Is there any special education or course for consumer education?
consumer.
She is asking.
When consumer
Any
dispute,
diploma or a degree like
No.
certificate course?
There is no courses at all. Only to know each and everything from the Consumer Protection Act only. A vernacular language. The act under the vernacular language is also available to the consumer. In Telugu version is also there. Consumer Protection Act Telugu version is also available, but it does not protect the actual verbatim from the Consumer Protection Act. It knows from the English version also. Therefore, there is no certificate of courses.
Sir,
Please, yes.
sir, if consumer says, సార్ ఒకవేళ కన్స్యూమర్ తప్పు చేస్తే అది ప్రొడ్యూసర్ కి తోసేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది సార్ అప్పుడు ప్రొడ్యూసర్ మీద తోసేస్తే
Now, the point is, we have already discussed earlier. If some precautions will be given by the seller to utilize some goods. And in case of using the goods, mishandling, and without taking any expert opinion or without taking any assistance from the material supplied by him, and without gone through the information and literature supplied by him, if anything is happened, then it is a mistake of consumer. Therefore, the consumer is not aggrieved person. Therefore, he can't claim anything by way of redressal form under the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. The best example is we purchased a washing machine. There must be some precautions given in the pamphlet supplied by the seller, that is shopkeeper. Without following the precautions and without following the material supplied by him, or without gone through the information, or without gone through the pamphlet and precautions, if any person is mishandled, or if anything is complained, then he has to be detected. Certainly, the expert person will come and say, no, the machine was handled and this was not following the precautions. Under those circumstances, the mistake will be found and pointed out by the expert from the shopkeeper and says something. Your mistake is not to be considered and it is the fault of consumer. Therefore, no question of claiming anything. Therefore, you are not a consumer. He says you are not a consumer.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Regarding this, I have one doubt, sir. Of course,
Please,
I observed one problem
please.
repeatedly. It is happening in case of buying some valuable goods like AC, refrigerator,
Yes.
washing machine, whatever it may be. Generally, we observe and study the product manual only after purchasing the goods, because they supply the manual, they give us manual only after purchasing the product.
Okay.
We take the product to our house and later we will see, but the product manual is very lengthy. There are so many pages. Instructions are printed in very small letters. Sometimes they may not be visible also, and no consumer is interested to study it well, and that is a big problem. And later on, we'll come to know some additional new conditions that are mentioned in the manual. Before purchasing the product, we don't have any information. We are not aware of all these things. There is a big problem. After purchasing, after using that product, after 1 month or 15 days, if you face any problem and bring it to the notice of the goods supplier, simply he says, go through the manual, sir, go through the conditions, sir. Like that, he replies. Then we'll be on crossroads. Already we purchased, already we took the manual, and we try to read it after the purchasing because of so many problems. And at that moment, we don't know what to do. And it's a big problem because commitment has already happened. What has happened has already happened. We need not take care of any aspect regarding the buying process. So, what to do in this respect, sir? I think let me concisely tell you the point.
Your
Even
question is lengthy, but the answer will be concise.
Okay, sir. I will try to concise my question also.
Now the point
Even if the conditions are against about some rules, and the conditions are not reasonable at all.
The concise
Conditions
answer.
are not reasonable. Shall we approach court for the implementation of the contract? I mean, what is the agreement between the buyer and seller that was implemented at that moment, at the time of buying?
To enlighten all these points to the students also, we are supposed to know to utilize the product or commodity or any goods which are already purchased by us. We are supposed to know each and everything. And if you do not know anything, or if you are not a person to read over all the material supplied by the seller, then you have to learn something from the seller, or you have to know each and everything through some expert. These are all the put before the district forum to claim something by way of complaint in writing. These are all the points to be considered. Even though it is mishandled, even though it is not utilized properly, then you have to say, no, on the basis of the expert opinion taken and on the basis of the assistance taken by the expert, from the expert, this machine or this goods or this product is utilized and consumed, even though then the defect is there. Therefore, this grievance has to be compensated in terms of money. That is to be put before the consumer, and you have to prove each and everything in such a manner. Even though you doesn't know, making some allegations to prove something by way of taking some expert. Have you understand?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
That is the manner you have to be put before our grievance. Only if you do not know anything, then assistance from the expert must be taken, or some opinion from the seller in periodical situations you have to be taken. And you say only on the basis of the instructions given by you, the same thing is utilized, and the same thing is handled, and same product is consumed, and the same product machine is utilized for our purpose. You have to say something, because in present society, each and every situation is to be in your favor by way of some conversation, or by way of some black and white, or by way of some issuance of notice, and whatever it may. And the general principle is, the legal presumption is, you are supposed to know each and everything before going to use the product.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir,
Sir.
small doubt, sir. సార్ గవర్నమెంట్ గూడ్స్ ఆర్ సర్వీసెస్ కూడా మనకి కన్స్యూమర్ రైట్ అనేది ఉంటుందా సార్?
The very purpose of the Consumer Protection Act is to uplift the consumer rights, and the act only covers the buyer-seller relationship is to be good in condition. The Consumer Protection Act is a legislation enacted by our India for the purpose of protecting and safeguarding the interest of the consumers.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Whatever the enactment made by the government of India, then only for the purpose of the public interest only. Therefore, beneficiary is consumer, beneficiary is public.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. Good morning, sir. This is Vanita from 3rd BCom General.
Good morning.
Sir, I have a doubt. Actually, when we buy some cool drinks or water bottles in railway station and bus stands, they'll sell more than the manufacturing price. And even when we try to ask them why should we pay more when it's manufacturing price, they tell that this is the rule and you have to pay. If you don't want, you can go to another shop. How should I proceed further?
Then very recent case is very recent case is already discussed. This is a recent case which is already held by one district forum. That is the facts of the case is, I answer your doubt later. Now you please hear.
Yes, sir.
So a Colgate, 50 grams of Colgate is purchased by particular person at rupees 10. Then he purchased 150 grams of Colgate is purchased by another rate. Compare with that of the rate relating to the 10 grams of Colgate and the 150 grams of the Colgate is, the price is very, very high. Then it is challenged before the district forum. Considering the facts and circumstances, the district forum awarded cost, mental damages to purchaser by way of some money, and compensation is also awarded. Therefore, the excess rate is collected by a particular person, that is seller, then he has to be penalized by attracting the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act. Then your doubt is excess price is collecting from
Yes, sir.
consumer. Okay?
Yes, sir.
He is not supposed to collect a excess price. If you
Yes,
question
sir.
if you question the same, then it is proved. It is to be proved before the forum. Automatically, he will be penalized.
సార్ యాక్చువల్లీ దిస్ థింగ్ హ్యాపెన్ ఒక్క చోట కాదు, 2 చోట్ల కాదు. నేను ఏ బస్ స్టాండ్ కి సపోజ్ ట్రావెలింగ్ లో ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళినా కూడా వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడు ఎక్సెస్ అమౌంట్ నే కలెక్ట్ చేస్తారు సార్. మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ కన్నా ఒక 5 రూపీస్ 10 రూపీస్ ఎక్స్ట్రానే ఉండిద్ది. అయ్యా మేము కామర్స్ స్టూడెంట్స్, మేము ఎందుకు ఎక్కువ పే చేయాలి, మాకు తెలుసు రూల్స్, ఇదే పే చేయాలి కదా అంటే, లేదమ్మా నీకు కావాలంటే కొనుక్కోలేకపోతే పక్క షాప్ కి వెళ్ళమ్మా అని అంటారు.
మీరు why don't you purchase the same cool drink bottle from outside, not from the
యాక్చువల్లీ అది ఒక ఎమర్జెన్సీ సార్. నేను ఆల్రెడీ వచ్చేసాను లోపలికి, మళ్ళీ బయటకు వెళ్తే నాకు బస్ గానీ ట్రైన్ గానీ మిస్ అయిపోయింది కదా సార్.
Only the auction will be held, the shops are to be auctioned by the department. Okay,
బట్ కానీ సార్ మన ఎంఆర్పి కన్నా ఎక్కువ పే చెయ్యక్కర్లేదు కదా సార్ రూల్ ప్రకారం అయితే. మరి ఆ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ దే కదా సార్ తప్పు, మంది కాదు కదా సార్.
అలాంటప్పుడు మీరు పబ్లిక్ గ్రీవెన్స్ సెల్ అని వేరే ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే సార్.
Then it is to be challenged. The conversation between you and the shopkeeper is to be recorded. Then it is to be considered, and the same will be put before the forum, and a direction will be given to them, and he will be penalized, and you are to be compensated.
ఓకే సార్. నేను అవే సార్ చాలా సార్లు అనుకున్నాను, ఎప్పుడైనా ఇంకోసారి జరిగినప్పుడు ఒక వీడియో తీసి దీన్ని ఫర్దర్ గా ప్రొసీడ్ అవ్వాలి, వీళ్ళని వదిలిపెట్టకూడదు అన్నట్టుగా అనుకున్నాను సార్.
You are correct.
ఎందుకంటే నష్టపోయేది నేను ఒక్కదాన్నే కాదు కదా సార్, అందరూ ఇంకా కొన్ని మందిలో ఎంఆర్పి ప్రైస్ చూడకుండా వాళ్ళు అడిగిన అమౌంట్ అలాగే ఇచ్చి వెళ్ళిపోతారు సార్. కానీ అది చాలా మందికి లాస్ కదా సార్.
Your grievance is acceptable, and your grievance is to be plausible, and your grievance will be put before the forum by way of some documentary proof. There must be some documentary proof.
And వాళ్ళు బిల్ కూడా ప్రొవైడ్ చేయరు సార్.
That is, therefore you have to record this conversation in between shopkeeper and yourself. There is a media, there is a instrument in your hands. Your cell will be by way of instrumentation. You have to record the same. Then it is to be recorded. On basis of the record, you have to file a complaint before the district forum or some pre-litigation. Then it is to be called for, and he is to be penalized. And the other one is, I have to mention, I am also mentioned in this occasion, there is a district legal aid services authority is there to render free services to the consumers also.
Sir,
I am the ex-member of the district legal aid services authority. Therefore, if any grievance is there, you have to put by way of black and white by way of complaint, and same thing filed before the district forum and our district legal aid services authority, and he will be called and he will be penalized also if it is proved.
నాకు ఇంకో డౌట్ కూడా ఉంది సార్. ఇది వచ్చి ఓపెన్ గా జరుగుతున్న ఒక క్రైమ్ లాంటిదే కదా సార్, మరి గవర్నమెంట్ ఎందుకు సార్ దీని మీద ఏ యాక్షన్ తీసుకోవట్లేదు?
Action will be taken on the basis of the complaint only. Nobody is complaining. How?
కానీ ఇది జరుగుతున్నట్టు అందరికి తెలుసు కదా సార్. ఒకసారి గవర్నమెంట్ రైట్ గానీ అలాంటిది ఏదైనా చెయ్యొచ్చు కదా సార్ ఇలాంటి వాటి మీద.
There is separate legal cell, there is separate department, but they are not doing. Therefore, you have to complain.
ఈసారి తప్పకుండా ఒక వీడియో తీసి నేను ఫర్దర్ గా ఎలా ప్రొసీడ్ అవ్వాలో చూస్తాను సార్.
Go ahead. God bless you. My blessings.
Thank you sir.
సార్ నాకు కూడా ఇంకో డౌట్ ఉంది సార్.
Many questions are coming.
Follow.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు మనం కన్స్యూమర్ కోర్ట్ లో అనేది ఒక కేసు వేసామంటే దానికి లీగల్ చార్జెస్ అనేవి ఉంటాయి కదా సార్.
ఫీజు ఉంటుందమ్మా, ఫీజు కట్టాలి.
ఫీజు ఉంటది కదా సార్. అది ఈ మామూలు కోర్టులో వేస్తే ఫీజు అనేది చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది కదా సార్. ఈ కన్స్యూమర్ కోర్టులో కూడా వేసినప్పుడు ఫీజు అనేది బాగా ఎక్కువ ఉంటుందా సార్?
Fees as fixed by the Stamp Act in civil courts.
Okay, sir.
Likewise, fees fixed by the consumer forum.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Can you file online consumer complaint?
Pardon?
ఆన్లైన్ కన్స్యూమర్ కంప్లైంట్ చేయొచ్చా?
Why not? You have to file. If online facility is there, then you have to file online complaint.
Okay, sir.
సార్ కన్జ్యూమర్స్ కి ఏమన్నా ప్రాబ్లం అక్కడ అయినప్పుడు వాళ్ళకంటే ఏమన్నా స్పెషల్ కోర్ట్స్ అవి ఉంటాయా సార్? వాళ్ళ ప్రాబ్లమ్
whether the disputes comes under the provisions of Consumer Protection Act, that is to be first of all decided. Then it does not come under the purview of provisions of this Consumer Protection Act. You have to go civil courts.
ఓకే సార్.
Civil
అంటే
courts
ఎలాంటి
for
ప్రాబ్లమ్
obtaining
అయినప్పుడు వెళ్తాం సార్? ఎలాంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అక్కరైనప్పుడు వెళ్తాం సార్ మనం?
ఇదిగో deficiency of the service or defective goods, ఇవి పాయింట్స్.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Any questions from participants? Any more questions, please?
Sir?
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, మామూలుగా మనం డ్రింక్స్ కానీ ఏమైనా ఈటింగ్ ఫుడ్స్ ఏమైనా తీసుకున్నప్పుడు సార్ అందులో మనం కొనుక్కున్నప్పుడు కావాల్సిన ఇంగ్రీడియంట్స్ అన్నీ ఉంటాయి సార్. సో తర్వాత దానివల్ల ఏదైనా ఇష్యూస్ రావడం అలా జరిగినప్పుడు మనం రైట్ వేస్తాం, అదే కోర్టులో వేస్తాం కదా సార్. అవి వేసినప్పుడు అటు సైడ్ వాళ్ళు కూడా మా దగ్గర అన్ని ప్రాపర్ గానే ఉన్నాయి, మేము గూడ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇవన్నీ కరెక్ట్ గానే చేసాము అని వాళ్ళు చెప్తారు కదా సార్. అప్పుడు కోర్టు ఎలా రిసీవ్ చేసుకుంటారు సార్ ఈ ఇష్యూని?
బర్డెన్ ఆఫ్ ప్రూఫ్ అనేటటువంటి పాయింట్ ఉన్నదమ్మా. బర్డెన్ ఆఫ్ ప్రూఫ్. A person who files a complaint or a person who files a case or a person who files a grievance before the forum, he has to prove each and everything, for which you have to make something by way of documentary proof or some recording proof or some any documentary. You have to make it convenient for your case. మీరు అప్పుడు చెప్పింది ఏంటి? మీరేదో సమ్ ఒక ఫుడ్ ఐటెం తీసుకున్నారు అంతేనా? ఆ ఐటెం తీసుకున్నప్పుడు ఇది బాగలేదు ఏంటి, ఇందులో ఎక్కువ కారం అయింది ఏంటి, ఇందులో ఉండవలసింది ఎందుకు లేదు, దీనికి ఎక్కువ ఎందుకు ఛార్జ్ చేశారు, ఇంకా ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు ఉన్నాయని చెప్పేసి ఒక కాన్వర్సేషన్ by that time your conversation you have to be created with the assistance of your phone. The recording evidence is there. Then you are a person to raise some grievance. Then it is possible for you to file something against him, or you have to file some criminal complaint before the concerned police. Whatever it may be, if you want to prove something grievance, there must be some documentary proof, or there must be some recording proof, or there must be some proof of something. Then only it is possible to achieve your purpose. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Consumer courts, consumer forums are same, sir. She's asking, sir. Forums and courts both are same. Any difference is there?
Oh, court means a civil court, sir.
Okay, sir.
They have got every right to adjudicate the matters.
Okay.
But so far as the forum is concerned, a limited purpose is there. Now, in a civil court, each and every document must be perused by a judge, whether it is to be admissible or not to be decided over. And some evidence will be taken into consideration. Some supporting witnesses have to be examined before the court. That examination will be recorded, and documents are to be received. Considering all these facts, arguments will be heard in a civil court. These are all this procedure under the civil courts. But so far as the forum, district forum is concerned, only documentary proof will to be considered, and only arguments will be heard. Whether it is to be genuine, whether the documents are to be considered in case of considering whether they are to be genuine or not, and whether the document is admissible or not, whether the documents are to be penalized or not, whether the documents are stamped or not, that is to be decided out by the civil court only. In case of complications to decide over the matter before the district forum, then it automatically will be dismissed, directing the party who complains before the district forum to go to the civil court to adjudicate the matter. Therefore, multiplicity of the complications involved in the complaint before the district forum, it is a ground for dismissal with a direction to complaint to go to the civil court for adjudication of the matter and to obtain legality. Sir? Hello?
Sir.
Therefore, complications of the dispute will not come under the purview of the district forum. Only relating to defective service and defective goods and some imperfection and some grievances relating to unfair trade practices.
సార్ కన్జ్యూమర్ కోర్ట్స్ అనేవి నేషనల్ లెవెల్, స్టేట్ లెవెల్, డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ లెవెల్లో ఉంటాయి కదా సార్. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేషనల్ లెవెల్లో మనకి క్లియర్ అక్కడ సాల్వ్ అవ్వకపోతే మనం స్టేట్ లెవెల్లోకి వెళ్తామా సార్?
No. If a complaint is filed before the district forum in the district jurisdiction, either this way or that way, it is to be decided over.
Okay,
either it may be dismissal or it is to be awarded. Okay. Then it is to be challenged before the state forum.
Okay, sir.
Appellate jurisdiction is state forum.
Okay, sir.
Then it is the state forum award will be challenged before the consumer forum. That is a national consumer forum.
Okay, sir.
District appellate jurisdiction is the state level, state consumer forum, and that in the appellate jurisdiction is state level appellate jurisdiction, national consumer forum. Then also it is not decided over so far as the legal principles are concerned. Then it is to be challenged. The National Consumer Award is also to be challenged before the Supreme Court, so far as legality is concerned, by way of writ jurisdiction, not consumer dispute, by way of writ jurisdiction.
Sir?
Pardon?
It is not based on disputes, sir.
Only legal principle will be decided over. It is to be adjudicated.
Okay. Thank you.
Any? Please.
Sir, Sharma garu?
Sir. Okay.
Landmark judgment by the rendered by the Supreme Court. Hello.
Hello.
One landmark judgment.
Sir, you are.
Sir, okay, landmark judgment is.
Tell me.
Okay, landmark judgment with your kind permission.
Okay, sir. Pleasure.
A student was asked to deposit lump sum fees for the purpose of coaching the medical entrance examination for the future 2 years. Hello. Sir, can I proceed?
Okay, sir. That's enough, I think.
Okay.
Time is up. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Shall we stop here, sir?
No, okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your
thank you very much.
Presentation. We know how busy you are. In spite of your busy schedule, you kindly could make it convenient to deliver your talk for the benefit of our students. On behalf of management, staff and students, I express my gratitude. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to our principal, Dr. Sister Marietta Di Mello, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much, sister. I express my sincere thanks to our Vice Principal and PG Directress, Dr. Sister Shaurilu, for the continuous encouragement and guidance. Thank you very much, sister. I thank my department members and dear students. Thank you, one and all. Let us have a moment for taking a photo, sir. All the students, I request all the students put your cams on. ఉంచండి I request Ms. Harika to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
First of all, I need to express my heartfelt thanks to Almighty God for making this program a memorable and successful one. We are very much glad to S. Brahmam Garu for a presentation of how to protect our consumer rights. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We express our deep sense of gratitude
To our beloved principal, Dr.
Thank you, sister.
We extend our sincere thanks to our Vice Principal and PD Directors, Dr. Sister Shaurilu, for encouragement and support for this event. Thank you, Sister.
For the valuable time. We're thanks to all the heads of various departments and faculty members and students for their patience listening. Thank you, everyone. We're glad to thank Mr. Sharif, sir, for technical support. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, and all. Now, all of you, please stand for National Anthem.
गणगणाधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे जागे तव जय गागा जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद.
ఎందుకు నుంచి నాకు తెలుసా జాతి గీతం పాడేందుకు నుంచి ఇంకో క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఈ క్లాస్ చూడాలి, ఇంకో క్లాస్ చూడాలి.